welcome back to another episode of Lights Out with Ish and Eve. I'm Ish and this is Eve, and we are back to discuss a very drama-free, basic, simple, peaceful,
boring, should have brought my pillow.
Yeah, weekend. Most importantly, ZHOU GUANYU got in the points, so big slate of that. ZHOU GUANYU.
I was so happy.
But I think that was kind of it. I don't think there's anything else really to discuss.
No, thanks so much for watching, everyone.
Yeah.
I just spit everywhere.
Obviously not. Obviously there was much drama this weekend.
On and off the track.
On and off the track in Qatar. It was insane.
Flabbergasting.
Flabbergasting.
I don't think I've ever used flabbergasted as like
No.
a verb.
You had gobsmacked last week.
I do say that a lot, but
Yeah.
people pick up on things like when it gets clipped and they're like, this is funny, and I'm like, is it?
Okay.
I just be chatting and I just be saying shit.
Anyways, it was a crazy race.
Yeah.
I feel like half of it was under the safety car, but yeah, it was just craziness all around from the FIA's decision making throughout the weekend.
FIA, watch your back.
We have some thoughts.
Oh, yes.
We will be discussing.
I've got some thoughts.
I know.
Someone commented, just to circle back to this, because they said you should talk about who you think should get the seats in Cadillac, because that's confirmed. I don't want to spend much time talking about it. But we were like, potentially confirmed Andretti. Who is it? GM? Cadillac? It's going to be Cadillac Formula 1 team. It's GM, but it's basically Andretti.
Yes.
I did see a really funny meme, and it was like the Trojan horse, and it was like Cadillac, and inside was Andretti. I was like, true. So yeah, who do you think should drive for Cadillac in 2026?
I honestly haven't given it a lot of thought outside of like Daniel Ricciardo would be just the perfect like on-brand driver for that team. Mm-hmm. But do you have thoughts on it?
I mean, I just think, because I know that ZHOU GUANYU is eyeing it off, and maybe after his points finish, but like I heard people talking about it. By people I mean like the Sky Sports people, and they were kind of saying like a lot of teams recently have been going for like youth. Yeah. But they were saying that for a fresh team, you've already got so many areas in which you're like teething. Yeah. You should probably go for more experience. Yes. Which brings into the conversation people like Daniel Ricciardo, Bottas even, Magnussen, these types of guys.
I don't actually think it'll be Ricciardo. I think he's pretty tapped out, but it would be cool. Like, just...
Yeah. He's had enough, like, I'm back! It's like, I don't know if I can do it again.
I know.
Like, I'd love it, but
he's really Jimmy Barnesing.
I don't know if I can do it again.
Yeah. Anyway.
Let's move on.
Well, yes, let's. I guess the only other little bit of news that happened was that the FIA president replied to the Drivers Association open letter.
I didn't see this.
Yeah. Basically, his response was, butt out, it's none of your business. Like, how the FIA runs.
None of your business is crazy.
That, like, obviously paraphrasing, but that's essentially
the general vibe.
The gist, yeah. I know.
What the?
Crazy. Which is like, how? If you don't have drivers...
You have no sport.
Yeah. Because drivers have, taken stands against, like, the FIA and, like, organizations before. Crazy.
That's insane.
I know. Just so, like, egotistical.
Yeah.
And, like,
it's
arrogant.
Like, we're running our thing. Like, who are you? The people that make your sport be able to function. Like, you can have the FIA, you can have the teams, you can have the fanfare, the track, everything. If you don't have drivers...
Yeah. And at a time when there is so much chaos around the FIA with senior staff coming in and
being
going...
fired.
Yeah, left, right and centre.
You're fired.
Yeah, it's not the time to be making such arrogant claims like that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's like, you are incompetent.
Yeah. And this morning's race...
showed that clearly enough.
Yes.
Anyway. Practice.
Yeah, there was just sort of, again, lots of slip sliding around and runoffs as everyone got used to got used to the track, but there wasn't really much to say about practice. So then we obviously got into sprint quali, and SQ1 was really like just a lot about who was like, as fuel burn off and the track evolved, like times were just getting set faster and faster. But obviously Perez got knocked out by Alex Albon. Crofty made the point of like, oh, you know, in fairness to Perez, it was only like 13 thousandths of a second that he got knocked out by.
He shouldn't be down there.
Like, he's getting knocked out by a Williams, which at this point has probably been duct taped together because of how much
the wing mirror went flying.
Like, there's no excuse.
And also, it's like, yeah, maybe if it was a one-off.
Yeah.
It's been happening all year.
Yeah.
The last 2 years.
Yeah. Like, just, I was like, you can't be saying to be fair to Perez.
Loved the memes that were like, what curse did Daniel Ricciardo put on all of the Red Bull prospects? Because it was like the bottom four. It was like Tsunoda, Lawson, Perez, and Colapinto.
I know.
I was like, lol.
Oh, poor Colapinto.
Oh,
not
he
having
didn't have
a good time. But
it balanced out. He started strong and now it's balanced out, I feel.
Which is interesting, because I'm like, because he's sort of coming into F1 and like it's all fresh and new, like, and then there isn't really any pressure on you, so you perform. But now as the weekends have gone on, they've taken their toll a little bit. There's more pressure with the like, oh, is he going to get a seat next year? I wonder if that's sort of impacting his performance as well.
I'd say so.
But yeah, poor Colapinto.
Anyway.
And then SQ2, not much to say. The usual suspects kind of got knocked out. And then
SQ3, the McLarens were absolutely flying, and then their second run they were just like nowhere. I was like, oh!
It was weird. The softs just fell off a cliff by the time everyone got down to their final runs.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yes, but good job, Lando, for getting pole. So that was great.
And then the sprint.
Lando
held a start.
He did.
Can we just take a moment for that? And I'm really happy about it for a few reasons. Obviously, because then he just like led the sprint until we'll get there. But because the people are like, the stat is becoming less and less powerful.
Yeah.
Because it's obviously like, he's never led a lap when he's had pole. It's like, he's only led a lap once when he's had pole. It's like, he's only led a lap twice when he's had pole. Like, it's every time he does it, the stat just becomes like worse and worse. If we really want to talk about converting poles to wins, can we talk about Charles Leclerc? It's like, you guys.
But like, so the sprint start, Oscar getting up to P2 straight away
immediately. I was like,
so good.
Let's go! I was like, we're on here.
Yeah, and then his defending from George early on, phenomenal. Obviously, then like George this weekend, and obviously in Vegas, clearly that Mercedes is just incredible in the cold weather.
Yeah. Which was like, why was it cold? Why was everyone dying last year?
Different time of year.
Aha.
That's fine.
I was like,
yeah. Because the other thing that we didn't talk about when we were sort of like gearing up for Qatar in our episode last week was last year there was a forced 3-stop because it was so hot that they didn't think the tyres would last, so they forced, like, you couldn't have your tyres on for longer than like 18 laps, I think it was, so everyone had to do a 3-stop, which meant that the drivers, there was like zero lifting and coasting to manage tyres. It was just flat out in the heat the whole time, which was what also contributed to the drivers.
Also just a comment on the tyres, like this year they rounded off the top of the pyramid curbs to save tyres, and that absolutely worked. But that is a really interesting point. That was a forced 3-stop. I did not know that. That would have been a little bit chaotic.
It was so chaotic. And like watching it, you were like trying to work out, like do the maths of like who's done how many stops, like where is everyone up to. It was so confusing to watch.
Yeah.
But thankfully we didn't have that this
Yeah.
time. But
The sprint.
yes, just coming back to Oscar quickly.
Yes.
So, like, obviously great defending from George at the start, but then he really had to be dragged along by Lando.
Yeah.
Like,
He
the
was
rest of the time. Because
cooked.
George was cooking in that Mercedes.
Yeah.
So...
And it's a McLaren track. And I was like,
yeah.
this is crazy, Oscar. Like, what's going on?
I know.
But,
Thankfully...
them fighting is always fun.
Yes.
They have some good battles.
Yes.
They normally are quite good at keeping it good, like, clean.
Yes.
Which is fun.
It is.
And they had more scraps in the race.
They did.
It
It was an amazing, like, drive from Gasly. I mean, Gasly had an
amazing
phenomenal weekend overall, but, like, Max couldn't get past Gasly for ages.
Or Nico.
I know, like, whatever the Alpine, that new, like, nose or whatever was the upgrade.
Yeah.
Whatever they gave to Gasly on that car this weekend, just A+.
Phenomenal. But, like, Gasly's just been flying. Like, obviously last week in Vegas he had the unfortunate DNF.
Yeah.
But, like, he qualified P3 to come from, like, finishing P3 in Brazil to qualifying P3 in Vegas.
Yeah.
To then... Did he score points in the sprint? I don't think he did.
I
don't think he did. But he was, like, up there and fighting with Max, and then to finish P5 in the race. Like, he's been
so good.
looking good.
Yes.
Obviously, that car is heavily upgraded compared to his teammates. Because his teammate is another fucking story.
Yes.
But we'll get there.
We will.
Then, Perez, like, boxed for a new front wing, like, randomly. I was like, Red Bull's just running a practice session here.
Like, should we talk about Perez's start?
Oh my god, I was howling at that. That was so... What are you doing?
That is embarrassing.
It was just green, and he was just like...
He was like me when I'm zoned out at a traffic light.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, someone beats me.
Yeah.
If Colapinto had a horn, he would have been on it.
Yeah, literally. Like, he was overtaking him in the pit lane because the light had gone green and
came
Perez
out
hadn't started.
behind the medical car. Like...
Embarrassing. So embarrassing.
And did you see that he apparently, like, tried to play it off?
Yeah.
He tried to be like, oh yeah, like, I meant to let him pass. And Christian Horner was like, no.
Yeah. Christian Horner was like, normally when the light goes green, you go.
Like, just driving in general.
Yeah. So bizarre.
Like, I fear I knew that before I got my driver's license.
Yeah. Like, yeah, you learned that as a child.
Like, red light, green light.
Yeah.
In the playground.
Literally.
Fresh out the sand pit, playing red light, green light. Like, come on, let's be for real.
Yeah, that was insane. And then he couldn't get back past Colapinto either. Like, what?
At what point do they sack this man?
I know.
I mean, we've been saying it for months.
But you know what's crazy now is, like, Liam and Colapinto haven't been doing great either. So I'm just like, who's the substitute?
I know, but, like, maybe just... You have to try one of them in a Red Bull. Like, they're still in a slower car.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they're not doing great,
Yeah.
but they haven't been given the chance to drive that car yet.
I think they just don't want to get rid of Perez unless...
The money.
Yeah, unless they're sure about who they're bringing in. And I just don't think that they're sure about either Colapinto or Liam. Which, fair enough.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's just like... It's just so annoying. And then the end of the sprint.
Yes.
And I know that we have very differing opinions on this.
We do.
But I also, like, don't feel that strongly about it. So,
No. Like, it's not that serious. But, okay.
what's your
here's
perspective?
my perspective. So, obviously, Lando's leading. And then, very last corner, does a really well-executed move.
He, like, calculated that shit. I would have been so fucking... At that point, even if I was thinking of doing it, I'd be
Yeah.
like, George is too close. Like, it's too risky.
Totally. It's massive risk.
He's
But
just like...
he did it really well.
Yeah.
In my opinion, which I know is not a popular opinion, after looking online and seeing people's comments of like, oh, it was so great, he was such a good teammate, like, paying him back, blah, 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 blah. I don't disagree that he would, like, you know, it's nice that he paid Oscar back. I just think it was completely unnecessary, and I don't think Oscar would have, like, wanted that necessarily, or, like, felt particularly, like, satisfied with that result, because I don't think any F1 driver is going to be satisfied with a win that's been handed to them on literally the last corner.
Yeah.
Like, it just felt a little bit like you're paying him back for your own conscience in a way.
Yeah.
And like, some people have said, oh, you know, he's thinking about Oscar being like a good teammate for him in 2025. But I also just don't agree with that either, because I think come Melbourne next year, when those lights go out, like, Oscar is
Fresh slate, yeah.
Yeah, like, he's not going to be playing the team game. He's going to be
driving for himself.
Exactly. Like, up until if there's a point where either of them are, you know, in with more of a shot. So I just disagreed with all of that. Yes, I thought it was nice, but I just felt it was, like, unnecessary.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you feel different about it, like, knowing that it's just Lando and not the team? Because it's like, why would they fucking do that?
Not really, because I'm just like, either it's, like, whether it was the team that said it or Lando that said it, I still just think it was unnecessary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, yeah. And then they both looked a little bit awkward afterwards. And, like, maybe they both wanted it and that's fine and that's
They
lovely.
both are just a little awkward, too.
I know. But, yeah, it was just sort of like, I just can't imagine as if I was in Oscar's shoes, I would feel like that wasn't really a win. And it felt like a win sacrificed for Lando for no reason, because there was no championship at stake.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah. And I, like, completely understand your perspective, and I'm like, I can see that. But then, like, the flip side, what I think, and God knows if this is what Lando was thinking or not, we'll never know. But there are, like, because I know, like, how much he has said that he thinks about, like, what people say and, like, all of this. And it's, like, one of his weaknesses is getting too caught up in it.
Yeah.
And I just know if come next year there was a situation, any sort of situation, people would be like, but that time in Brazil when Oscar gave him the win. Like, people would just fucking bring it up. So I think that, like, Oscar dragged Lando around the track in Brazil. And then Lando dragged Oscar around the track in Qatar. It's like, you both deserve to win a sprint, and you both won a sprint.
Totally.
And, like, I get the perspective of, like, Oscar probably wasn't really that satisfied, but it's like, well, he's probably the same amount of satisfied with P2 as that. And, like, the main thing was the McLaren one too.
Yes,
like, he's probably,
absolutely.
His emotion to getting that win versus that P2 is probably, like, the same. And it's like, well, it would be nice, obviously, to celebrate.
Yeah.
But, like, for him, I don't think anything would have really changed.
Yeah.
And then, like, Lando felt good. So it's like, one of them still felt good and one of them still, like, didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So, like, the main thing was to secure the 1-2. And I'm just like, it's nice. Like, it's nice to see it. But he's also been like, I don't really care about P2 in the drivers. Yeah. And that's clear.
Totally.
And I just, like, I'm like, it's not that serious. Like, McLaren 1-2 was the main thing, and
for sure
we got it. But I was aghast. I was literally like,
what? Because when I was watching it, I was like, what is happening right now? I was like, why is he slowing down? And then I was like, oh, he's let him through. Why?
Yeah, I was literally like, there's no fucking way. But then I was also just like, that's sweet. Like, it is really sweet. And, like,
I didn't like in the press conference afterwards when he was like, I'm not here to win sprint races. It was very, like...
I didn't watch the press conference.
Yeah, it was just very, like, diminishing. Like, you've done this nice thing, and then you've said, oh, well, like, it doesn't matter and I don't care about it, so, like, he can have it, whatever. Rather than, like, being like, yeah, like, I did this thing for him and he's my teammate and it's about the culture. Because
that's what he was like in the immediate, like, post-race interview.
Yeah, whereas, like, in the
press conference,
he was like, I'm not here to win sprint races. I was like...
Yeah, I feel like just sometimes when he says stuff, it just comes off wrong. Because, like, at the end of the day, like, I'm not here to win sprint races could just mean, like, it's just a sprint.
Oh, totally. Look, I know that, like, the drivers don't really care about the sprint races.
And also, I can assure you, if it was a fucking Grand Prix, he wouldn't have done it. Like, there's no, like, I just think, It's just kind of was like, but whoa. But the switch up on social media was hilarious.
Yes.
So funny.
I know. Lando all of a sudden had lots of fans.
And I was like, where have you all been?
Meanwhile, me being like, what was that?
Yeah. But, like, you were also... Well, I was going to say you were also, like, you've kept the same sentiment.
Yeah.
So, like, but it's the people that are fucking switching up.
Yeah.
I'm like, you were just calling him a childish brat and laughing at him after Brazil. What's going on?
I know.
So I thought that was really funny.
Yes.
But at the end of the day,
it is what it is.
it's not that serious.
It's not that serious.
Because, like, at the end of the day, whether you agree with it or not, like, the championship's over. You don't get fucking shit for coming P2 in the drivers. Like,
no, exactly. I mean, Charles he's talked about how he gets a bonus if he comes P2.
Well, I'm sure if Lando got a bonus, he wouldn't have given up the position. Yeah, Charles is gunning for that P2 and Lando.
And he's close.
I know.
He's only a handful of points behind. Anyway, so that's the sprint. I think that kind of covers the sprint off. So then, quali. Q1, the sort of usual suspects again were out.
Well, not really. Both the Saubers went through.
That's true.
The Saubers are the usual suspects.
The Saubers are the usual suspects, yes. But, like,
apart from
the other usual suspects.
Yeah.
Definitely sucks for, like, STFC, obviously. P20 is not the vibe. And have you heard about how he's maybe not driving in Abu Dhabi?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to edit this, and then while I'm editing it, I'm going to get a notification, like...
Yeah, confirmed. I feel like it's already kind of been confirmed.
I know, it's very, like, strong rumours.
Yeah, because I'd started working this morning, and I had just, like, the post-race yappa going on in the background. And I was like, we got news from Alpine, like, surrounding Esteban Ocon. I don't know what it was, like, about it. I was just like, oh, like, listen to this. I was so shocked. I was like, that is crazy.
Yeah.
So basically, if anyone hasn't heard yet, probably as you said, by the time this comes out, everyone will know.
Yeah.
But apparently, Esteban Ocon asked Alpine if he can drive in the test for Haas after Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
So he was like, I want to drive in the test for Haas. Fair enough.
Of course.
And Alpine was like, we need something in return if we're going to let you drive the Haas in that test. So basically they were like, well, I don't know, they came to an agreement that Esteban could drive for Haas if he sat out in Abu Dhabi and let Jack Doohan drive. I'm like,
what sort of a trade-off is that? That is the worst trade deal in the history of trade deals. Like, what do you mean? Your last race with this team that you've been at for years.
5 years he's been there.
Yeah.
Like, and he DNF'd into the first corner. It's like, that's going to be your last...
Yeah, your last race with this team. Like, no way! It would be so disrespectful. I mean, look, I get it from Alpine's point of view. The more, like, practice they can give Jack Doohan in the car, sure, great. But I feel like you've got to respect the what Esteban Ocon has done for Alpine.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like, and it's also like, let him drive for, like, what does it do? It's after the season's done. Yeah. And like, they're in a very close title battle currently with Haas.
Yeah.
And RB.
Yeah.
Probably just Haas at this stage.
Yeah.
But like, that's after Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Like,
so
what?
bizarre.
It's so crazy.
I know.
Like, I'd love it. I'd be like, great, show me Jack Doohan. Like, get the man in the car. But it's also like, from an Alpine perspective, it's like, you are in such a tight title fight. Like, is this the point where you want to be putting your rookie in the car?
I know. And like, Jack Doohan is not
He's a rookie.
Yeah.
He's not like an Ollie Behrman rookie or like a Liam Lawson rookie with like a couple of races under their belt.
He is
fresh.
Very green.
Yeah.
Crazy. I do not understand the thinking at all.
It's insane.
Yeah. So hopefully we will see Esteban Ocon one more time in the Alpine. But
yeah. I'm also like, well, I'm not ready to like move on.
I thought I still had this weekend.
Yeah, to like say goodbye to all of the current pairings that we know and love. Like the French Civil War.
For real.
Has been retreat.
No.
I mean, it's like over, whatever, after Brazil.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But whatever. Anyway.
Crazy.
So that was crazy.
Quali.
And then, yes, back to quali. So, usual sort of suspects. And then Q2.
Mm-hmm.
Both Saubers through to Q2. And ZHOU GUANYU, P12.
P12 and P13 is insane for Sauber.
I know.
So good. And
after a year of being
P20.
Absolute trash.
I remember when we were in Singapore and we were like, damn, like we'd really see, because you never see them in the race. Ever.
Yeah.
They never show them because they're just dawdling around the back. But like in Singapore, it was like, you know, like Lando would go past.
Yeah.
Max would go past. Like Oscar would go past. And there was like some little like, you know, Ferraris, Mercedes. With, like, Oscar
the midfield.
And then it would be like everyone else would go past.
Yeah.
and then it was just like the two Saubers.
Yeah.
And they were just together. Like, I'm like, that's how you know it's the car.
Totally. Because the driver's just getting everything they possibly can out of this absolute wheelie bin.
Yeah.
But yes, it was just...
I'm just so happy for them.
I know.
So my silver lining to this whole weekend is
For
that
real.
whole story.
I know.
So
Bless.
good.
So that was great. And then Q3, Max was back to being Max.
They clearly fixed the Red Bull after the sprint.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And then there was beef. Because Max put it on pole after going too slowly and backing George up when he was on an outlap, which apparently, according to the FIA, deserves a one-place grid penalty.
But I've never seen a one-place grid drop.
Insane.
Have you seen a one-place grid drop before?
No, and definitely not for that.
No. On their flying lap, sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's like a
impeding.
3-place grid drop.
Yeah, but he's on an outlap.
And there was like a bunch of cars there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the championship is over, y'all.
Yeah.
Like,
Could you
what
imagine
are you
if Max
doing?
and George were in a championship fight? That would be insane.
Because they clearly don't get along.
Yes.
We've seen it before.
And we saw it this weekend.
But, you know, we're all adults. They, like, you know, most of the time, obviously everyone's not going to get along with everyone. They're
Of
both,
course.
like, chill, whatever.
Yeah.
But every time these, like, little things happen and it's Max and George,
It explodes.
it explodes every time.
And then, so Max's comments... So obviously they both had to go see the stewards and argued their cases for the penalty. And Max's comments to the press after that meeting...
Dicey.
Yeah, it was a bit full on. I was like, ooh, maybe you don't have to say all those things publicly.
Exactly, because this is the thing as well. That's another kind of point. Imagine if Lando had said what Max said.
Ooh, he would have been roasted.
Exactly. And everyone's just like, like,
Yeah.
and like obviously some people are a bit like, whoa, like that's a, you know, no need to like go that hard publicly.
Yes.
And like, especially for Max, I'm like, you are the person who hates the media the most.
Yes.
It's like, weird
I
that you
know.
would then go and do that, but okay. But
And, like, we obviously don't know what was said in the steward's room that got Max so riled up. But, like, it just felt like the comments he was making were just a bit nasty.
yeah, like he was like, I've lost all respect from him. I've never seen anyone try so hard to screw someone else over, like,
Yeah.
and stuff like this.
And I get that he is very passionate and does get, you know, riled up about things. But I just think, like spouting off to the press does not help the situation.
Especially for him, I'm like, you've just won the world championship. Like,
I know.
like something crazy must have happened in there.
Yeah.
Because then apparently there was like beef on the drivers' parade too.
Oh, really?
Apparently, like George made a comment to Max on the drivers' parade that was just like something along the lines of like, oh, like, I hope you and your FIA pals are happy, or something like that.
I did hear about that, yeah.
And apparently Netflix was privy to it. So I can't wait for this in Drive to Survive.
Dude, Drive to Survive, this season has to be like 50 episodes long.
Honestly.
Like,
I think when Drive to Survive comes out, we should review Drive to Survive.
we should. I agree.
It's going to be really difficult because I'm going to want to just, like, binge it. But,
Yeah.
like, we'll figure something out. with that.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah. And I was like, like, clearly there's a bit that's, like, going on there. And then, like, it's just... Obviously, in those situations, though, like, you both think you're right.
Yeah.
And that's when it is down to the FIA to decide, ultimately.
For sure.
And, yeah.
I think the penalty was bullshit.
Yeah, I don't agree with the penalty at all.
And I think a lot of people don't agree with the penalty.
No.
So that was just the start of the FIA's crazy decision making.
They really were like, oh, everyone's calling us out for not giving out any penalties in Vegas.
Yeah.
I raise you.
Yeah.
Fucking
Every penalty.
never-ending graphics.
I know. One of my favourite F1 content creators is Rocket Powered Mohawk. And in one of his videos ages ago, he was like, there's 8 billion people in this world, and somehow every single one of them managed to get a penalty during this race.
Wait, when was this? Like ages
This is
ago?
just like ages ago.
I was like, is there a new video I haven't seen?
No, this is ages ago. But I was like,
I
damn.
live on YouTube, I'd be the first to know.
Yeah. was like, damn, that quote really just came back.
Yeah, honestly, he's gonna have a field day.
I know.
With like the races that he hasn't yet covered.
For real, Rocket Power Mohawk, we love you. You're a vibe.
He's a controversial topic in himself.
Yeah.
People are like, he's just a professional hater. I'm like, yeah, and it's funny,
and it's entertaining,
it's hilarious. I could never personally.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think that kind of wraps up Collie though.
Yeah.
Like, you know, other than that, everyone sort of was standard up in Q3.
Yeah.
So
Standard,
that was that.
really.
All right, so let's get into the race.
Yes.
So first of all, even though he was on pole, terrible start for George Russell, losing 2 places, and very good start for Max and
Lando. Lando almost. He almost got Max.
Yeah.
And I was like,
oh!
There was a few moments where I was like, they're gonna crash.
Yeah.
Like, even later in the race too.
I know. I mean, obviously the start, there was crashes.
Oh my god, yeah.
Colapinto and Esti Besti.
Oh.
Which, like, Nico kind of caused that crash.
Yeah.
And they just kind of were in the wrong place at the wrong time.
He
so very
kind of
much
did, but
just an incident. Which I think it was. Like, there was no further investigation into it.
What I thought was hilarious as well, because then the other incident was Albon and Stroll.
Yes.
Alex Albon's radio message after Stroll crashed into him, he said, I knew Stroll was going to do that. Or something like that. He was like, oh my god, I knew that was going to happen. Like, I knew Stroll was going to do that. Like, he said, I knew Stroll was going to do that.
Disappointed but not surprised.
And I was like, valid, honestly.
Yeah.
If I was starting next to Lance Stroll, I'd be watching
I'd be sweating in my boots.
So I was
shaking in my boots, not sweating in my boots.
It's just a puddle. I'm so glad that didn't take Alex out of the race.
Yeah.
I was like, no way. I was like, I can't take another Alex Albon DNF to something that's not his fault.
I think the Williams mechanics would have just rage quit.
Yeah. Well, with the Franco one, I was like, at least the car's not smashed to pieces.
Yeah.
I was like, that car that's fine.
Yeah.
Comparatively.
But just, so brutal. Like, 2 lap 1 incidents as incidents.
Yeah.
For Williams. Was brutal.
And then Stroll did the old double DNF.
Yeah.
They were like, box to retire the car. And it was like, Lance Stroll penalty. And they were like, hold that thought.
Yeah. Let's just run it back.
Yeah.
I mean, Lewis kind of did that.
He did as well.
At the end of the race.
But
he did end up finishing the race.
It was so funny. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, I want to retire the car. And then Bono was like, negative Lewis. And then Mercedes were like, retire the car. And he was like, no.
Yeah. I know, Bono was like, don't be a little bitch. And then Lewis was like, fine.
And then Mercedes was like, actually, on second thought,
yeah, it's fine.
Retire the car. And he was like, no, actually, I don't think I will.
Yeah. So silly.
He had a bad day.
Yeah.
He's just been He slayed in Vegas, but he's just like not really been having a good time.
No.
And people are saying that getting cooked by George is like mentally fucking with Lewis.
That does not surprise me. I'm sure it is. Because Lewis is a 7-time world champion and he's getting cooked by his younger teammate, less experienced teammate.
Who everyone shat on.
Yes.
When he first joined the team.
Yeah. Like, it would mess with your head. Especially just like constantly qualifying lower than him.
But at what point do you just go, a fresh start next year?
Totally.
And just like, let's make the end of the year with Mercedes as nice as it can be. It's been a beautiful partnership.
Yeah.
I'm not going to complain every 2 seconds on the radio.
I think the problem is that all of the drivers are so competitive that all they get wrapped up in the race is that race. And there's no like bigger picture. It's just, and I think it was like that with, you know, Max and George. Like, Max, you've won the championship. Chill.
Yeah, you
don't
need to be telling people that George is a two-faced
I will be beeping that out.
You have to. YouTube will we're not monetized, but subscribe. If we were, we'd get demonetized.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I just think they get so caught up in the competitiveness of that one race and that one moment that it's too hard to think about
anything else. Yeah.
But yeah, so
which is like one of the reasons why I like Lando giving Oscar the place, because he's thinking bigger picture.
Totally. Totally.
And he was like, I'm trying to give Oscar DRS, I'm trying to help. And McLaren was like, don't give him the position. And he was like, that's another thing I forgot to say. I've never heard of a driver ignoring direct team orders for something that doesn't benefit them.
Yeah. That's so true.
Like, I've heard of drivers ignoring direct team orders, plenty.
Yes.
But,
yeah.
Anyway.
Bizarre. Anyways. Back to the race. So, obviously there was lap 1 chaos.
Yeah.
And then there was a safety car. And then the safety car restart, like...
But, oh yeah, that... Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, there was a number of safety
yeah,
cars.
I always get confused, like, when we do these and there's multiple safety cars. I'm like, which one? Which one was which? Like...
Yeah. So this was when Liam went off and kind of had a bit of a moment.
Who did he yeet out of the race? He yeeted someone out of the race.
I can't remember. It was like 5 a.m. when I watched this.
Actually, maybe they both got going again.
I think they did both get going
I can't
again.
remember who it was.
But, so Liam obviously not having a good race at all. Meanwhile, Yuki made up 5 places in like the first lap.
Yeah.
Or like 3 in the first and then 2 on the restart or something like that. He was up 5 places.
He was doing really well. I was so shocked. I was like, what? Who is that? I was like, the Aldi started like...
Yeah. So coming back to our conversation about like who is the best option to replace Perez, actually there is a pretty valid option.
It's
you just don't want to take him. Ugh, he's better than Perez, he's better than Colapinto.
Swallow your pride and put him in the seat.
I know, it's ridiculous. Anyway, so that was that. There was really good midfield racing between Yuki, Pierre, Fernando Alonso, like ZHOU, K-Mag.
Fernando had a good race.
Yeah, finishing 7th.
Yeah.
Very solid race for Fernando. But I really enjoyed watching all of that.
Yeah.
All of just the midfield overtakes and battles that were going on there.
Something that happened that I'm like, you are one lucky mother. George and his horrid pit stop.
Yeah.
I was like, his race is ruined.
Yep.
And then the F1 gods were like, not anymore. But yeah, I was like, that 7-second pit stop lost him like 4 or 5 places.
Yeah, I think it was 3. But
I think it was like 4 maybe then. But it might have been 3. But like there was the gap and like the way that the TV directors actually did good on this one. The way that the TV directors showed it was like so good because you could see him coming out of the pit stop and you could see the gap that Mercedes had calculated for him to feed into.
Yes.
And then you could just see
each one going
past as George is like trundling out of the pit lane.
I know.
And I was like, oh, that's got to hurt. Like in the pit lane, just seeing all these people go past.
I know. Brutal. Yeah, that was very unfortunate.
There was also a little bit of a repeat before this pit stop of like the sprint with Oscar and George, like except for the other way around.
Yes.
Like Oscar could not get past George.
I know.
The straight line speed on the McLaren is once again its downside.
Yeah. Yep. And just that might have been part of like how the setup for, because there's a lot of high speed corners around Qatar, so it was probably more downforce and better for that. But you know, it's a balance.
Yeah.
But just on Lewis's bad race as well, one thing I thought that was really quite funny was he was like asking about like what the times were for like the front runners and like compared to his times. And when Bono told him, he was like, is our car broken? No, it's just slow.
George is actually one of them laughing at that time.
Yeah.
So
don't know what to tell you, babe.
Like those front runners you're talking about, that's your teammate in the same car.
Sorry. But yeah,
anyways, then the wing mirror debacle.
Yes, Alex Albon's duct taped.
His super glued Williams fell apart.
And there was a wing mirror.
I have so much to say about this fucking wing mirror because this wing mirror ruined Lando's race.
Ruined Lando's race.
Carlos's race. Lewis's race.
Valtteri's race.
Yeah. Like, everyone's race was ruined by this motherfucking wing mirror.
Yeah.
Because it was on the track for so long.
Yeah.
That is, I feel like, remember in Miami when the bollard was hit?
Yep.
And virtual safety car, run on, grab it, done.
That's all that needed to happen.
What would have been the wing mirror.
Yeah.
Instead, they left it out there Bottas ran over it, and then it was no longer just an easy thing to pick up because there's debris across the track.
Yeah.
So it's no longer a quick thing. But even after it had been run over, they let them go around again and again. And then
it was insane because it was so clearly visible, and every single person watching the race could have made the decision of virtual safety car, go get it, and then keep going. Because they were
find a gap.
Yeah, they were waving the yellows for ages on the one overtaking spot on the whole track.
Yeah, and like, what, you're just going to let the race finish like this? And half of it to go.
Literally. Like, what was the plan? What was the plan? So insane.
It's like, they're like, oh, I'm like, that's a very, like,
it was a very simple solution.
I feel bad for Bottas being the one that broke it because he was getting out of it. He was being lapped.
Yeah.
So he was the one, like...
I know.
He got out of the way and went off the racing line and just exploded the mirror.
Yeah.
And then Lewis has a puncture, Carlos has a puncture, and they're limping around the track.
I know.
And I'm like, oh, see you later, both of you.
I know.
And then, like, Lando's being investigated, which, like, let's talk about his penalty.
Yes.
Very harsh. But it is the penalty for that.
Yeah.
So that I get.
Yeah.
They just never... That shouldn't have been the situation.
Well, and that's the thing. I think when people were like, that's not fair, that's so harsh, blah, 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 it's a fair penalty for what it was because you did not lift under the yellow flag.
When you look at it...
Which is a safety issue.
But
it was... he should never have had to be in that situation in the first place.
No, and, like, when you see the onboard, it's like... Have you seen the onboard?
Yes.
So it's like, not double waved yellows, not double waved yellows, not double waved yellows.
Yeah.
He gets to, like, just in front of it.
Yeah.
And it turns to double waved yellows.
Yeah.
And that's when he didn't lift.
Yeah.
And because he, in the post race, he was like, I'm not an idiot. If I saw it, I would have lifted.
Of course.
It's like,
yeah.
I'm not just, like, flooring it. Also, with Max getting at George and then doing that to Lando, I'm like...
You've got to kind of respect the just awareness that Max had in that moment to be like, Lando's caught me. How's he done that?
He didn't lift.
Check
if
he lifted or not.
I know, but it's just a bit rich, like, after his whole thing with George and being like, I don't respect him at all. He's trying to screw me over. I'm like...
To be fair, though, I don't think Max was, like, a dickhead about it.
No, he was just like, check
it, and then they did, and then they
didn't lift.
Got the penalty. But
like, yes, the 10-second stop and go penalty, that's the penalty for not lifting on double wave yellows.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's harsh because, as you said, he never should have been in that situation.
Yeah.
Because it should have just been virtual safety car, that, done, whatever.
Yeah.
And also, like, and to a degree, you can be like, yeah, maybe given the circumstances, they could have made it. But you don't want to go, given the circumstances, like...
Yeah.
Because that just leaves so much up to interpretation.
Totally.
But
it sets a bad precedent.
And also, they're not going to be like, well, there should have been a virtual safety car because it's the FIA and they're never going to admit their mistake.
Yes.
So, Lando got screwed.
Yes. Big time.
Even if it had just been a 10-second penalty, it was like... I was like, he could have just pulled a fucking gap and then, like, you know. But it was like 10-second stop and go penalty to be served within 2 laps after everyone's just come out of a safety car restart.
Yeah.
I was like, well, he's cooked.
Yeah, like, it could not have been worse.
Like, it actually genuinely couldn't have been worse.
I know. And, like, the FIA, like, it's not like they even had the excuse of, oh, you know, it was in, like, a weird corner of the track and we didn't know.
On the main straight.
Literally, it was in the smack bang in the middle of the main straight. The cameraman was, like, zooming in on it and, like, could see... The cameraman turned the camera to watch Valtteri drive over it because everyone and their dog could see that coming.
Literally.
Like, so ridiculous. So unacceptable from the FIA.
I know. And, like, is it going to take, like, something like what happened to Lando to happen? Yeah. They're still not going to acknowledge it. But, like, that just so clearly shows... Because that has impacted... I know he said he doesn't care about it. The Drivers' Championship. It's severely impacted, like, because of that decision, he could lose both P2 and the Constructors' Championship. Yeah. Because of the FIA not making that decision.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is fucked.
Crazy.
And, like, if that happens, and it's like, obviously there's like, you can say like all of these things throughout the season, but that is such a clear thing that happens right at the end of the season that has such a direct impact on that.
Totally.
And like, he recovered phenomenally.
Oh, to get it back in the points?
And take the fastest lap too.
Yeah,
like,
amazing job. As a Ferrari fan,
great.
I was not displeased by
You're displeased with the FIA for the inconsistency.
Yes.
The fact that he was the one that
the fact that Ferrari benefited from it.
You'll take it.
I'm happy about it.
But
exactly.
it's still like...
It's just insane.
Also, something I want to point out.
Yes.
They calculated Lando's time lost for the 10-second stop and go, 36 seconds.
Yeah.
From going in, serving it, coming back out. He finished 35.7 seconds behind Max.
Oh,
can you imagine the fight at the front that we could have had without that?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not even like you've taken away potentially P2 and potentially like the constructors. You potentially cost him a win. I don't want to say that because obviously Max probably would have yeeted him into the wall. But
well, he would have still had to get around Max, which would have cost time. So,
but also that overtake probably would have taken the time that he took to get past like the 5 back markers.
Yes.
But he did also still have to pass 5 back markers to get to finishing.
That's true.
Within that gap of Max.
True, yeah.
So obviously Max is going to be far harder to overtake.
Yes.
They probably think they're being lapped. They're like, oh shit, McLaren.
Get out of the way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm like,
I know.
what could have been not only the win, just like the fun fighting. And like they were literally saying like, oh yeah, this has been fun. Like now that the championship's over, they can just race for fun.
Yes.
And the FIA said
absolutely
no fun.
I know.
No fun allowed.
I know.
So anyway.
But look,
after all that,
ZHOU GUANYU got points. After all that, ZHOU GUANYU got points.
One little tiny part of me wanted Bottas to keep that 10th position.
I know, just for the double points.
And if it was anybody else, not a McLaren, I would have been like, nah, fuck off.
Yeah, get out of here.
Give Bottas the point.
I know.
But because it was Lando, I was like, no. It was like, I'm sorry, Bottas, your agenda has to wait.
I know. Yeah, that was.
But ZHOU GUANYU got P8. Not even P10.
I know. Multiple points.
P8.
I know. Crazy.
I'm so
happy for him.
And for Sauber, like, to not finish pointsless.
Yes.
Like,
agreed.
Left it to the last minute.
I know.
But you've done it.
I know. That was so nice. I was very happy about that.
So cute.
I know.
Loved it.
Yes.
And also, we spoke about Gasly just like absolutely slaying.
Yeah.
And like the fact that the safety car, like after the wing mirror was run over and Lewis and Carlos got their punctures.
Yeah.
It didn't end up ruining the race because there was a safety car anyway. So, like...
Well, Lewis also got a drive-through penalty as well.
For what again?
For speeding in the pit lane.
Isn't speeding in the pit lane just a 5-second penalty? Like, without fail?
Yeah. I don't know what the FIA were doing.
A stop-and-go penalty
I know.
For speeding in the pit lane.
Yeah.
Grow up.
Insane.
Like, that's... Every single time. That's a slam dunk 5-second penalty.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yep.
What's going on?
I know.
So obviously that didn't help, but Lewis was already like pissing around back there, like prior to this.
That was crazy.
That was like the final straw.
Obviously Perez also.
Oh yeah, and Nico.
Yes, and Nico, but Perez just like spun out on his own. Quote unquote.
They were saying it looked like a hydraulic something or other, but I was also like, it's Perez.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't quite know.
I know it looked a little bit sus on the onboard
because he was like, I lost drive, and I was like, you will say anything for people to not think it's your fault. Like you said, you meant to let Colapinto pass at the start of the sprint.
I know, like I'm just like, I don't believe you.
Yeah, but then the commentary was like, well, it looks like hydraulics or something.
Yeah,
so maybe.
But it was just sus, and it cut to like Christian Horner.
Yeah,
and he just looked traumatized. He was just like.
It's like, you're putting yourself through this, honey.
Honestly. Get rid of him, Yuki in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Problem solved. But, and it is unfortunate for Perez because he was, up until that point, having a pretty good race.
He was, I know. He was like running up in P6 at one point.
Yeah,
I was like, going back.
Yeah, he was doing well. So I'm like...
And like, when he does well, part of me is like, oh, good for you. But then the other part of me is like, this doesn't cancel out everything that you've done.
I know.
And we get comments that are like, but he was good in Racing Point. I'm like, yeah, well, that was 5 years ago.
Yeah, and Racing Point is not, like, should be winning the Constructors' Championship. Like, Red Bull should be winning the Constructors' Championship because Max is winning the drivers. At the very least, you should be second.
Exactly. Like, they go hand in hand so often.
Yeah.
Not always.
No.
When things are close.
Yeah.
But to not even come second.
Yeah, insane.
And the fact that Max has enough points by himself to be coming third in the Constructors is hilarious.
It is hilarious. It was like that last year as well. He had enough points by himself to win the Constructors.
That's so funny. Last year was
clapped.
Anyway, let's get into some awards.
Yes. Biggest winner.
ZHOU.
Yes.
But also Ferrari.
Yes.
As you said, majorly benefited from the FIA's fucking nap.
Yeah, the FIA is just aneurysm.
Yeah, literally, just mental breakdown.
Yeah.
So they absolutely took a huge dub.
Agreed.
Like,
specifically Charles as well. Like, Charles was like, if you had told me I was going to come second this weekend, like, I wouldn't have believed you.
Yeah. It was like, I saw a meme and it was like, I can't remember, but it was like a picture of Charles and it was like, where did he start? Like, 4th or 5th or something.
Yeah,
something like that. And it was like, start here, avoid everything, do nothing, come second.
He did though.
Yeah, he literally did nothing. I didn't see him the whole time. Yeah. And I was like, well, you got to be in it to win it.
You do.
So they say.
You do. So that was a vibe. Also, Gasly for his 5th. So good.
So good.
Biggest losers. I say losers specifically because I have multiple. Yeah. Lando, obviously. Ocon, just terrible weekend.
Yeah.
Perez,
for
how embarrassing the whole weekend really was for him, and Colapinto.
Yeah.
That
only one that I have to add to that is Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Him being like, all the rumours of like, is he going to come back and drive in Abu Dhabi? Yes, he's going to come back and drive in Abu Dhabi. It's his last race with Mercedes.
Why would he not? Just because Ocon's not driving Abu Dhabi?
No. I think because like, after Brazil, he was like, I don't want, like, there was rumours of him not, like, coming back after Brazil, and then obviously he wasn't happy again after this race. But I'm just like, there is no way come hell or high water, he is going to be in that car for his last race with Mercedes.
I know.
And I think all the comments that he said were obviously said in the heat of the moment.
Yeah,
and I would bet everything I own on the fact that he's going to come in.
Yeah, I don't think
there is no way in hell he's missing it.
No.
But yeah, weird that people are even like saying that that's a thing, because I'm just like, why? There's
that would
no
go
reason.
down so badly.
Yeah.
With so many people.
Yeah.
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 Like, you just have to end on a good note. It's like, there are so many things that I'm hoping end on a good note in. We'll get there. Let's talk about that later.
I know. Anyways, so yes, biggest losers. Useless stat. I think we might have the same one.
I've got a few.
Okay. Well, I might say mine.
Go
and then,
for it.
All right. So my useless stat was that ZHOU and Perez have achieved the same number of points in the last 5 races.
It's so funny.
Could you imagine, like, saying that at the start of the year? In the one of the
I can't imagine knowing who ZHOU GUANYU was at the start of the year.
So true. I'm just you're like, what's a ZHOU?
Yeah.
But like, obviously, you know, ZHOU's just got these 4. But Perez only getting 4 points in the last 5 races in a Red Bull. What are you doing?
It's crazy.
Crazy. Anyway,
so I've got a few.
Hit me. Your useless stat did very well in our last episode. Those who haven't seen it, Evie's useless stat last week.
Oh, yeah!
Like nearly 200,000 views.
It's probably on 200,000 views now.
Yeah.
Should I check?
That's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Let's check. Really quickly.
This is like our first kind of like semi-viral video, and just as little
Wi-Fi's
content
broken.
creators, it was very exciting for us.
It was.
Anyways.
And like minimal people yelled at me. So
yeah, everyone was actually kind of nice to us in the comments, so that was a vibe. Anyways.
Leave a nice comment,
Everybody.
everybody.
Anyways, tell me about your useless
I've got a few. So obviously everyone knows about this, but 1 year since McLaren set the fastest pit stop of all time.
True.
1.8 seconds
Yeah.
on Lando. So just shout out to the McLaren pit crew for that.
Good effort.
First time ever this year, 4 constructors have won 4 races.
As in,
This could have been my stat last year.
so there's 4. So Red Bull have won 4 races, obviously. Max.
Yeah.
Ferrari have won 4 races. Mercedes have won 4 races.
McLaren have won 4 races.
Wow.
It's the first time that's ever happened.
Ever happened is crazy.
I know.
Wow.
I'm scared now that that's... Because I see these useless stats and I'm like, this is fun, and I write it down. Do I fact check it?
No.
So
We rely on people in the comments to correct us.
just scream at me and call me an idiot. DTS man! You made a mistake. But, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
So that could have been my stat last week, but I didn't see it until after that.
Fair.
So,
Wow.
also, Lewis Hamilton
Yeah.
is currently, what is it, I think P7 in
Mhm.
the Drivers' Championship.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't look like moving from P7.
Yes.
He's never finished outside the top 6 in the World Championship. He's been an F1 driver for something like 17 years.
Never finished outside.
Never
the top
finished
6.
outside the top 6.
Wow.
After Vegas, George overtook him.
Yep.
Only reason George was behind him was because of the Spa disqualification. Like, let's be for real.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's never finished outside the top 6. And
Wow.
I can't really see him cracking
Getting back
George
up, yeah.
unless George DNFs and Lewis wins the race in Abu Dhabi,
Yeah.
which
Which would be insane.
doesn't seem likely, but you never fucking know.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are my stats for you.
I love them. They're good stats.
Yeah, I
I
love my useless stats.
love your useless stats.
I
always-
have a good time, like,
Yeah.
finding these.
No.
They find me.
They find you. Feel free to send in your useless stats.
Yes, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Comment a useless stat.
Yeah. Anyway.
0 comments.
3 likes, 0 comments.
Not if we clip it and put it on new followers
Hey.
on Instagram.
True. Anyway. Silliest surprise.
There were a few.
Yeah, outside of the FIA's decision making, which was very silly and always very surprising, because you just never knew what they were going to come up with.
Yeah. It's got to be the almost double salvo points.
Fair. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yep. I had Lando switching with Oscar in the spin.
That was an extremely silly
I was very
surprise.
surprised.
I was aghast. I was sitting on my couch by myself.
Yeah.
And my jaw was
Literally, I
on
was
the
like,
floor.
yeah.
I feel like every time you do that, you can see the gum in my mouth. That's disgusting. I apologise. I've been doing that all video.
Funniest meme.
I have one written down, but like honestly, I didn't see that many that like stood out to me
Yeah.
this weekend. Like I've seen a few and been like, haha, whatever.
Yeah.
But like there was none that like really tickled my pickle. Like
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, whatever.
Yeah.
But one that I did see that I sent you
Yes.
was Perez in his car with the green light on and the edit of like a book here which just says F1 for dummies.
Yeah, bro was studying.
And another one about Perez was like had the graphic, if you know when they do like the reaction time graphic,
Yes.
and it was like Perez, and I think it said like 5 seconds, and it was like medical car 0.15 seconds because it's like the medical car's ahead of you.
Yeah.
So I also thought that was really funny.
That is very funny. One that I saw that you also sent me
Yeah.
was that seagull meme where the seagull like takes a deep breath and like yells. But it was like Will Joseph on the radio to Lando Norris when he was telling him that he needed to like pick up the pace, and he was like, "Oh, like Lando, I know you're gonna tell me where I need to go, but like you need to pick up the pace." And Lando just cut him off and was like,
You need to talk louder.
louder. So then Will Joseph just like,
But it was honestly like that. Like you could hear Will like actually straining his voice because Lando was just like, talk louder please, and like fair enough to cut him off. You don't want to waste his breath like
Of
getting through the whole
course,
thing to be
yeah.
like, sorry, repeat that louder.
Yeah.
He's just like, talk louder please. He's like, Lando, you need to pick up the pace. I was like, whoa.
So that was very funny. And then
Yeah.
the other meme I had, which was quite funny. So first of all, Mercedes had their white race suits this weekend, which I really liked. I thought they were really cool. But there were a couple of really funny memes about it. The first one, which was just what happened, was when George walked out in the garage. Lewis was like, "You look like you're still a Williams driver," which was just like very funny.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was Lewis having like PTSD flashbacks to Nico Rosberg.
Because like at a glance,
because they had white race suits,
and it just kind of associates with that time. Like when I see a white Mercedes race suit, I associate it with that era.
Yep.
And to see like a blonde, at a glance,
it was like, whoa.
And Lewis is like, he's having like war flashbacks.
So that was very funny. Favorite moment?
One of my favourite moments was actually one that I forgot to talk about, which was the second safety car restart.
Yes.
Chaos.
Yeah, dude, Lando nearly got Max.
Yeah, and like, I thought that they were going to crash into each other.
Yeah.
And then Oscar and Charles, the same thing.
Yep. It was such
and
tight
was like,
racing.
It was happening all over, and obviously then that just caused more collisions, and we had another safety car.
Yeah.
But like, that was crazy.
Yeah.
That safety car restart was tea.
So good.
And then we had another one immediately after, which was like boring. But like Max said, he was like, I was confused because like the information from the safety car was weird as to whether it had like ended or not.
Yeah.
So he was like, I just went when I shouldn't have.
Yes.
Like I should have waited and then gone. But we thank him for not waiting because that was tea.
It was so good. I know. I have two favorite moments. ZHOU's just like reaction to getting points, love. But also, one thing I forgot to talk about actually in the sprint was Charles and Lewis's like battle, and Charles overtaking Lewis, because that was phenomenal wheel-to-wheel racing, and made me very excited for them to be teammates next year.
Nervous.
Yes, nervous. But I was like, oh my god, like if this is what it's going to be like next year, like. Yes, it's going to be terrifying, but also, like, I can't wait.
Yeah,
because that's
brings me
so
to
good.
The point of, like, what the fuck are they going to do when it's, like, you know, if they have to make any decisions, like, who do you favour? But I'm going to tell you what's going to happen is it's going to be Charles, because I think Charles is going to cook him. Like, I think Charles is just going to beat him.
Especially because Charles is just such an amazing qualifier, and
Lewis is clearly not anymore.
Clearly not,
And
I think like where Lewis has been able to catch up with George is on just racecraft, but I think Charles has that more than George. Yeah. So
I think that's just my prediction.
Yeah.
I also like circling back to the McLaren like even playing field for next year. The same thing is going to happen as happened this year.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, Oscar's just not there yet. And that's fine. He'll get there. I have no doubt. And I'm excited for when he does.
Yeah.
But, like, as I said before, he makes more mistakes. He doesn't qualify nearly as well as Lando does, consistently. Yeah. He makes more mistakes. He doesn't look after his tyres as well. It's gonna be the same story.
Yeah.
Of, like, Lando's just going to slowly outperform him. Yeah, there'll be races where, like Baku, for example.
Yeah.
But the same thing's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's like, ooh, like, it's gonna be brawling. Yeah, I'm sure it will be, but...
Yeah.
The same thing's gonna happen.
I think so, too.
And it's gonna be rinse and repeat, and I'm gonna cry.
Yes.
Are you gonna cry? In Abu Dhabi?
Oh my god.
Are you taking the day off? I think you should take the day off.
I would love to, but I have no leave.
Oh, sick leave.
True.
Exactly.
No. I will power through. It's actually kind of fun. A lot of people at my work do watch Formula 1, so we can kind of like talk about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am wait, let's just one more thing before we get to Abu Dhabi. Driver of the day.
ZHOU GUANYU. I agree with the people.
I agree with the people also. I also think Charles. Just because he actually just drove like a very clean, good race.
Yeah. Also Gasly.
Yes. Agree.
Yes.
Anyway, Abu Dhabi.
We've made it to the finale.
I don't think I'm emotionally prepared.
I was going to ask you about this because obviously you'd be like, yeah, Lewis Hamilton's going to Ferrari.
Yeah.
As a Ferrari fan, I'm like, because you're like Ferrari, very much like Charles and like Carlos, I can't associate you with like being a Lewis Hamilton fan.
I'm still coming to terms with it myself, that I'm about to be Team LH. However,
Yes.
I think a lot of Charles Leclerc fans in particular get cop a lot of flack
Yeah.
because you only like him because he's hot.
It's like, yes, he's hot. Unfortunately, he's also a good driver and he's actually really funny.
Yeah. Like, hot is one thing, sure, but it's not the reason. I think I also am just a Ferrari fan. Like,
Yeah.
I think the history that they have in the sport and the
aura.
Yeah.
They got hella aura.
For real. And like they're so synonymous with F1
Yeah.
that like I just have a huge amount of like respect for what they as a organization.
It draws you in. It really does.
Yeah, and so like I am a Ferrari fan, and so therefore next year I will be a Lewis fan.
But you are not
Through
associating
that.
with hashtag Team LH.
No, I will not. I will also still support Carlos in Williams because like Carlos has been one of the two drivers that I've like very much supported since starting to watch F1.
Yeah.
So I will obviously like still be like
I
happy
just
when he
can't
does well.
imagine you being like, go Lewis!
No. Look, I will
Lewis
definitely be
Hamilton
more
hater.
of a Charles Leclerc fan than a Lewis
I feel like that will
fan.
differentiate. Because I feel like you were very much like split across the two. Then it was like Carlos is leaving, so you were kind of like, okay, well,
Yeah, I've
Well,
kind of
diverted. But yeah, I feel like that might.
I know. But anyways, emotionally, I am not prepared for, I'm sure there's going to be so much stuff on social media of like the two of them departing.
I'm gonna be sad.
Yeah,
They're just such a good duo.
I know.
They're
And it's
so
not like
sweet
he's like
together.
I think Charles even said like I'm not going to miss him. He's literally going to be 20 meters down the paddock.
Yeah,
Like
I can just go and say hi.
yeah.
I'm gonna miss the C squared videos
Me
because we're no
too.
longer. Yeah, they might still be able to hang out and have fun.
Yeah, we're not going to get them together.
But correct.
I know.
And Lewis Hamilton, you best believe, I don't think he's going to be making goofy videos with Charles.
No. I'm here for the dog content.
Yes.
I'm here for the Roscoe and Leo content.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't see that happening, unfortunately.
Like Mercedes' social media department, all for their fun, goofy videos, is George, and like Kimmy.
yeah. I know. So yes, Abu Dhabi is going to be
It's going to be a lot. Like,
a lot.
obviously last year there were no grid changes. This year, almost all of them are changing.
Huge shake-up.
Yeah.
And not only that, but there's a lot on the line
Yeah,
in
the
Abu Dhabi.
Constructors'
There's
Championship.
The Constructors title, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's going to go to McLaren, but there's
Things
the
have to
Constructors
go severely
title.
wrong for it to
Yeah.
not.
There's P2 in the Constructors, which
the drivers.
is very much in contention.
Drivers.
Sorry, did I say Constructors? P2 in the drivers.
Yeah.
Very much in contention. The battle in the midfield.
The Haas Alpine battle.
Yeah.
I'm
like,
sacking off RB out of it. 'cause
No,
I don't think
they're done. But so there's actually just so much going on going into this race. So
Yeah.
it's very exciting. And I can't wait. I mean, I can wait because I don't want the season to be over.
I know.
But I can't wait because it's going to be really good.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be crazy.
I know. And I'm sure I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
But which is like kind of cringe.
I don't think you're alone.
I know.
And like, one, I'm just not an emotional person.
No.
But two, it's not my team.
No.
So like, I don't want to know how I'm going to feel when it comes to
Yeah, Oscar and
Oscar and Lando
because they will split
inevitably
at some point.
splitting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. I'm going to be not happy.
No.
Like when a player leaves my AFL team that I like, I'm distraught.
Yeah.
And there's like 40 of them. Like,
I know.
now there's only 2, and it's like,
I know. So, yeah. We'll see how the two of us are
after
this
Abu
time
Dhabi.
next week after Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
We'll see. One of us will be Constructors Champions. One of us
Yes.
will not. One of us will be P2.
Oh my
the
God,
drivers. One of us
yes.
will not. Us as if we're the drivers. Lol.
Yeah.
Um,
Lando, we could be one champion next time.
but yes, very excited for the last race of the season.
I can't believe how fast this has gone.
I know. We've had a lot of fun along the way.
I know.
But we'll do a season recap We'll have plenty of summer/winter break content depending on what part of the world you're in.
Correct.
And I think that wraps it up.
I think so. Oh my god! Now on Apple Podcasts.
Yes, Evie finally got it sorted. I don't know why I couldn't do it.
So passive aggressive.
Oh my god, no, I was gonna say I couldn't do it for so long.
Yeah.
And then Evie managed to work
You're
it
like,
out.
Evie finally got it sorted.
No, I mean I was the problem.
But
It's me. Hi.
I also didn't look at it. I was like, I should probably have a look at this.
Yeah, and then she solved it in 2 seconds. So we're now on
it
Apple
was not 2
Podcasts.
seconds.
Okay, well,
I
she
just
did very well.
was already doing it, and then I messaged you for a few questions.
Well,
along
you
the way.
slayed.
But there've been a lot of people asking us to get on Apple Podcasts. We have been trying, and we have finally achieved it. So,
Success.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching/listening. If you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, give us a 5-star review because it really helps us out. It makes us happy. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe.
Yes.
Like the video, comment your thoughts, tell us what you think about the FIA.
Yes. Comment on a useless stat.
Yeah.
We'd be happy to read them out.
Yeah, we can give people like little shout outs as like this person sent in this useless stat.
Yeah.
And shout out to them for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks so much for watching and we'll see you next time.
Bye.